Thousands of fans and party workers gathered in Karur on September 27 to catch a glimpse of actor-turned-politician Vijay. The rally ended in chaos, claiming the lives of 41 people, including women and children. The entire episode has now taken a political turn, but no one is willing to take accountability for the mismanagement of the crowd that led to the deadly stampede. In this week's In Public Interest, I am joined by former IPS officer Kulwant Kumar Sarangal, ex-commissioner of Nashik and an expert in crowd management, to discuss where accountability lies and how such tragedies can be prevented. Sir, thank you so much for talking to us. You must have heard about what happened in Karur. You must have read all the details regarding it. Can you tell us what could have possibly gone wrong, sir?
Yes, thank you so much, Abir, having me this evening for this important topic. So I have gone through these media reports as well as editorials in prominent newspapers. And there's a multiple factors, combination of factors because of which this accident has happened. Not rather accident, but the tragedy, gruesome tragedy, which is very, very unfortunate indeed. And this is, I suppose, 8th or 9th or even 10th incident this year in 2025 at various places in the country. And first, let me clarify. When we say it is stampede, it's not stampede. Stampede rarely happens when people do gather. It's a crowd collapse or crowd crush. It's a different kind of means. We have a kind of conceptual deficit here when we say every tragedy or crowd incident is a stampede. What happened typically in Karur is it's a crowd crush and maybe crowd collapse also, because somebody was sitting on some tree and then he fell down and something happened there also. So let us be very clear. We should not be using this vocabulary like stampede, because the process is entirely different. It doesn't relate to stampede. Now, when I say it's a combination of factors, so some factors might have been related to, say, planning stage, if at all some planning was done. And number two, then the operational stage. So exactly what happened, that is now part of inquiry. So that will come out in due course, exactly what happened. But whatever has been reported in the media, that clearly shows that there is some kind of planning deficit as well as operational mistakes also. So what I have that is the massive overcrowding. What we call in crowd management, that there is a particular space and it can hold a number of people, specific defined number of people. But when you allow crowd to find its own level, okay? When crowd finds its own level, then you don't have control over the crowd, because people keep coming, surging, stacking, and then there is a crowd density problem that crosses the kind of safe threshold of crowd density in that particular space, whereas the defined crowd density is something different. But we go more beyond that, and then this kind of surge of what we call is collapse. Collapse may not be possible because people are stacked together, but probably it is crowd crush, where people just have been crushed and then they were asphyxiated. The typical example of it is that more women and children have died. Now you imagine they are shorter than men, and when they are covered by the men, and they are they have more. They are longer than women and children, so they are suffocated. 18 women, I suppose, and equal number of children, or slightly say 12 or 13, they have died out of 40. So more than 50% children and women have died. If you look at the data of all the crowd tragedies, you will see women and children die more in such tragedy because of their specific conditions. So let it be there. But there, when I say there are a number of factors, so there was also a massive overcrowding rather. And then there was a late arrival of the chief guest, which also means allowed people to come in more numbers. And there was a communication failure as well, I suppose, there, because there was not proper communication with the crowd, and then there was a heat also. Then there was a lack of basic amenities, maybe possibly emergency facilities or emergency planning was also have kind of deficit. All these factors, they led to more number of deaths. Now you see, when people are waiting since morning, there is a kind of psychology, what we call the psychology of waiting. So there is a beautiful
Psychology
book
of the
written-
crowd, you mean? The
crowd
crowd
waiting.
psychology.
No, crowd waiting, not crowd.
Waiting.
Crowd waiting somewhere. There is a particular psychology. We can't go into detail of that psychology in this kind of interview, but let us refer to it. So there is a beautiful book written by Billy Ahn and Orwell Lovegren, The Secret World of Doing Nothing. And there is a chapter on waiting, where people do wait, say at the railway station, doctor's clinic, or in such situations. And there are norms of waiting, and there is psychology, social psychology of waiting also. All these factors are at work. Now imagine people were standing there since I think 10 or 12 hours, since morning almost. Now people were there to just have a look at the VIP. Okay. Now they are standing on a level ground. Some people are in the front, some behind. Some are shorter in height, some longer, and surrounding the people shorter in height and suffocating them. So when the VIP will come, naturally people standing behind on a level ground, they will not be able to see the VIP. So they will surge, they will push, and tragedy will happen. So there is a combination of factors, multiple factors which have contributed to this tragedy, I suppose. That is my take on it. Yeah, probably they should have taken into account all these factors while planning this event. And then the license was granted for only 10,000 people. More than 30,000 people came there. So venue capacity, you can imagine. It might have been 10,000, maybe 15,000 at the most. But when you are packing, say, 30,000 people, double the capacity. So tragedy will happen.
So you said something like planning and execution. So when at the planning stage, whose responsibility it is? What is the responsibility of the organizer? What is the responsibility of the police, which is an enforcement agency, because their job is to regulate the crowd. So what is their role?
You see, such kind of political rallies, religious festivals, or some other crowd events, they are managed by police only in India. And mind it, they are trained for crowd control, not crowd management. And there is a lot of difference between crowd control and crowd management. And all of our laws, they cater to crowd control, not to crowd management. Okay? So police, even if was not managing crowds, suppose let us say for argument's sake, they were not managing it. But in this case, they were managing. So they license it. So they have to license any crowd event on what basis? What should be the basis? There's a risk assessment. Organizers, if they are not relying on police, say they are relying on some private agency to manage crowd in some event. In this event, police was, they had licensed it, they were managing also along with the organizers. So where were the risk assessment? Where were the venue capacity? What are the capacity of the venue? So 10,000 permission they gave, whether that was scientifically worked out or not. So crowd density in such cases, the standard measure is when crowd is standing, there should be 47 people per 10 square meter only. Or there might have been more than, I suppose, 70, 80 people. Maybe double than what the standard crowd density measure recommend in standing crowd. So what are the basis of this licensing of this event? That can be commented upon when I see or somebody sees that particular license or permission they granted to these organizers. So 10,000 number appears to be very arbitrary kind of. So when 30,000 people were coming there, some people are also coming, say, behind, along with the convoy from the previous rally point. So they were all adding up. So crowd had found its own level, as I told, and that was much beyond 10,000, say 27,000, 30,000. This is 3 times what the event was licensed for. So when this surge was happening, people were coming, standing there. somebody might have noticed something unusual is happening. These are not 10,000 people, these are more than that. And before that, I think what I have read somewhere, before this incident happened, people are fainting. That is a typical sign of crush. That is a typical sign of crush. So that should have been the warning sign that we have to do something about it. So basically, when they licensed it, police should have got done the proper risk assessment and how to manage that risk. And then they should have worked to the capacity, they should have worked to the crowd density, and then they should have given the permission.
So in this case, it was a large scale event. So what kind of risk assessment can happen in real time? Because here the crowd has assembled since 9 a.m. in the morning, and it only got, it was only surging. So the VIP's arrival happened at around 7 p.m. So by the time the VIP arrived, it was jam-packed, and when the VIP's vehicles move in, then there is some kind of disturbance and all that. So the police had enough time for risk assessment in this case?
See, even might have been planned well ahead of this, that particular day, no? Maybe a week before, or maybe 3 days before, or 2 days before. So that was the period when they should have started planning, doing risk assessment, assessing the venue, whether it is suitable. First thing is whether the venue is suitable. If it is not suitable, tell him to change it. If it is suitable, then what is the capacity? What are the hazards? What are the vulnerabilities? Now, women and children were more vulnerable to overcrowding. As I told already in this interview and explained how they do die, more women and children die in these overcrowded situations. So then somebody was sitting over a tree, right? So they should have anticipated that people can adopt any kind of means to have a look at the VIP, because he's an actor also.
Yeah.
There will be a curiosity. So all these factors, then what we call the psychosocial factors about environment, like heat and thermal thing. Then there was demography of this particular crowd. Okay, whether there will be more women, there will be more men, kind of things we cover is psychosocial elements. They should have been listed, anticipated what kind of crowd is going to come there and what kind of requirements for emergency management are required. Okay, what is the capacity? What should be the crowd density for the standing crowd? All these things should have been thought of, and accordingly permission should have been granted.
So in these large-scale events, managing these large-scale events, where does the primary responsibility lie? With the organizers or with the police?
This is with the both, organizers as well as police, because they have to work in tandem, in coordination, and only then such events can become successful. Otherwise, there will be a problem. So they have to coordinate.
So in this case, according to the police, there were 27,000 people who had gathered there for the rally. The crowd kept surging, and even as the VIP was about to reach the destination, there were already 5,000 people who were following him along the route. So the police was aware that, something like this is happening. So what could they have done to prevent something like this happening, sir?
See, crowd was there since morning, right? From 7 a.m. and they were there till 7 p.m., right? So crowd assessment or crowd analysis, when I say as crowd event, and crowd itself is a very, very, very dynamic entity, right? Crowd assessment is also a dynamic process. It's not that you have done crowd assessment, say 2 days before when you are granting a license. Crowd assessment and assessing risks will continue till the event is over.
Okay.
Keep on assessing your situation, having situational awareness, right? What is happening on the ground. So accordingly, you change your tactics or you stop crowd from coming. At least you could have done what? 5,000 people following the convoy, coordinating with the previous police unit. They should have stopped them. Some kind of cut-off would have been arranged where those people would have been taken back. Okay. So when you allow people to come and join and don't do nothing, or maybe you are becoming aware that now crowd is surging, some action should have been taken to spread it, because I think it was a road along the road, I suppose, right? Along the road, right? And then you should have tried to manage the crowd density basically. So probably there was no effort to manage the crowd density. As I said, 47 people per 10 square meter, but there would have been many more per 10 square meter in this case. So how do you manage your crowd density and how you don't allow it to cross the threshold, critical crowd density threshold? That is not the kind of operational management and communication also. Then VIP should have also been briefed. Okay, what is the situation on the ground? Okay. Now I suppose he was also throwing bottles, etc. in the crowd. People might have try to pick up those from the ground. That itself can become a cause of crowd collapse. Somebody will falling, and you see crowd is coming from all sides. When there is a vacuum, say two people fell down, or maybe accidentally or whatever. The crowd is coming from all sides, and there is a kind of vacuum when two people are on the ground. Picking up bottles or whatever, crowd pressure will keep coming, and then they will start falling on each other, and there will be pile of bodies. Kind of, I don't know whether it is there or not, but crowd pressure is definitely there. So basically, you should know your situation. What we call the situational awareness. So operational stage, you should have the situational awareness, what is happening, and then take certain preventive measures.
And in this case, taking preventive measures could have been possible if they had done risk assessment properly.
You see, there is a thing called crowd formation process, right? Crowd doesn't it's not a kind of vacuum. Suddenly crowd do come. What we call is a trickle mode. When crowd do come, it is a trickle mode. Say 5 people are coming, 10 people are coming, 100 people are coming, and they are coming from different places. They are not coming from one fixed point. So this is a trickle mode. When they are coming in a trickle mode, you can make out how many people are coming and from where they are coming. As I told you in the morning, crowd tragedy on Delhi railway platform during this Kumbh Mela should not be seen in isolation from Prayagraj situation. Because this is a crowd formation process, and Delhi railway station was a hub. People are coming there from various destinations and taking train from there. So when people are coming, they are coming from 1,000 locations. Okay, it's not as if there were 3 crore people. There were 30,000 people. So they're coming in 2s, 4s, 5s, 10s, and they're coming from different directions. You can make out how many people are coming. At that particular point of time, you should have taken some measures to spread it along the road or to stop crowd somewhere along the way. Now the capacity or critical crowd density has reached. We won't allow more crowd there.
So you have been an officer on ground, trying to assess situations, trying to handle situations. What kind of risk assessment is done in your experience? Can you tell our viewers about how it is done? Like, can you give us some examples of major events that you have handled?
I'll tell you about the crowd formation process. When I planned this 2015 Nashik Kumbh Mela, we had taken into account during our risk analysis and risk assessment that where from people will come and how they will come. How many will come by train and from which locations? How many will come by buses? How many will come by their own cars and taxis? And I planned about having my people posted at say about 150 kilometers away from the Kumbh Mela site. Okay, so they will had to keep watch. How many people are coming? How many trucks are passed with people towards Nashik? How many trains you can take information from railways? So all these issues of crowd formation, from where people are coming, from which route they are coming, and how many they are coming. Roughly means it's a kind of assessment, rough assessment. We had planned it during our risk assessment and risk management. And there was I think document about say for every route and for all these issues, means we had qualitative kind of risk assessment, which our constables could understand, not quantitative, where we can give a probability that the probability of happening crowd tragedy is 0.5 or say about 1, or say number of people coming from a particular road is probability is 100%, not like that. Qualitative, rough idea how many people can come from there, and then correlate when your people are watching. So that is how we do the risk assessment. And then the venue capacity we've worked out. Venues, hazards, risks, and dangers and vulnerability. Who are vulnerable to this crowded situation? We had worked out everything during our risk assessment, and we produced a big document, and that was shared with all agencies, as well as we trained our police constabulary and our officers about this risk assessment based on this particular document.
Okay, what you're saying is something that a party worker or a party functionary may not understand these technicalities, right? It's the police machinery that is there on ground managing these issues. They should be doing it. Like, for example, what happened in Bengaluru, the stampede that took place at RCB, there was complete miscalculation. They had no idea where people are coming from. They had no idea how many people have assembled outside or in and around the stadium. They literally misread the entire thing.
That is what happened everywhere in a way, because when I say you allow crowd to find its own level, similar thing happened in Bengaluru also. Crowd came and capacity was not taken into consideration. Probably there now because already inquiry has been conducted, so there will be specifics in that particular inquiry. So now we should not be unnecessarily commenting upon what happened, because inquiry report is always already there and matter is sub judice. But yes, there was some problem with crowd finding its own level. So that is a problem. That is what happens.
Sir, this is the first time in a political rally something like this has happened, where people have died in large numbers. So do you think that political parties, they want a lot of people to come, they want to make their political rallies as a big show of strength, but when it comes to the safety of people who are attending the rallies, are they taking it seriously, or it's largely ignored just to show numbers?
It's not about political parties. It's not first time that in a political rally some accident or tragedy has happened. There are other examples also in UP, and I think 2016, and then 2002, and then I think Guntur in Andhra Pradesh. There were also political events where these deaths did occur. This is not about political parties, and nobody wants people to die when they invite them. And referring to your previous question, these organizers are not trained, but there's a laid down process where when the rallies are held, organizers are called by the police and they are briefed. That is the requirement of managing all these rallies. They have to be briefed and they have to be told what they are supposed to do and how they have to coordinate with the police. They might have done it also, no doubt about it. But then this is about SIRS, where means during operations or maybe during planning also, because I haven't seen these documents, what kind of plan was there. So I won't be commenting upon it, whether it was adequate or inadequate. But yes, operational as well as planning failures I can perceive.
Okay. And what is the kind of technology that could have been used in terms of managing crowd and all that?
You see, majorly we use CCTV cameras for monitoring crowd movements, crowd densities, etc. Right now, there's no technology which can give you accurate count of numbers.
But a drone kind of visuals and all that
drone
is
will
being
giving
used?
a visual. So part of me is kind of CCTV also, because taking video, photograph, and relaying it to your control room. Technology is important, no doubt about it. But beyond technology, if technology says that there is a abnormal crowd density, then what is your response? That is more important. Okay, that will give you only a situational awareness. But technology or drone camera or CCTV will not take action on its own to release the pressure. So that you have to plan, assess the risk, what I say, dynamic. Based on those data, you have to assess the risk, analyze the risk, and then you have to plan your response based on your plan, say contingency plan or emergency management plan or your main plan. Okay, based on that, you have to respond. That is more important. So how do you respond to that situation?
In this case, you must have seen the visuals, or the visuals are like people are just moving like waves. like this is how the entire situation was in and around the bus, where the VIP was actually delivering his speech. While he was delivering his speech was interrupted thrice. Even before the VIP arrived, the situation was like similar to something which was pretty serious. Then what could have been the response, sir? Like, police cannot just move into the crowd or lathi charge. What is the kind of response that they could have done at that moment?
You see, this is called, let me explain first why they are waving. These are involuntary movements. There is a social force working on the crowd when they are coordinating with each other, when they are moving. So that is social force is working. But when the physical force is working, your movements become involuntary. The scholars have well documented what is social force and what is involuntary or physical force when your movements become involuntary. In such situation, when you start suffocating, you should start releasing pressure from the margins. Somebody should notice it, na? Somebody should notice it and then start releasing pressure from the behind at least, so that you can make space for more people to come behind. That action could have been taken. That was only action possible, I suppose, at that particular point when VIP had come. So whenever you are caught in a crowd, you always move towards the margin, outside, not inside the crowd. So that should have been done. If people from behind pushing people and trying to have a glimpse of the VIP, they should have been removed from behind. Then the pressure would have been released. This could have been tried. I don't say it would have worked or not. That depends on what kind of situation was there. But that is one of the ways to do it.
And a lathi charge or a mild lathi charge or pushing people, does that thing make the situation more chaotic? Because this has also happened when the VIP was actually there.
No, that should never be done. During crowd management events, force has no role at all until or unless crowd becomes hostile. Only one incident I can remember which happened, I think in 2006 or 2008 in Maharashtra in Satara district, where crowd turned hostile after tragedy and then some kind of force had to be used. Otherwise, force in crowd management events has no role, neither your tear gas, nor lathi charge, nor anything else. So you have to only manage crowds which has come for experience or to a rally professionally based on the principles of crowd management only.
Okay, my last question to you, sir. After a tragedy like this, what are the structural changes, should the government and the parties adopt when they are holding such rallies? Because it's now an election season in Tamil Nadu 2026 and political rallies are going to be a day-to-day affair. So to ensure that a situation like this never occurs again, what should be the priority of the government?
Very simple. You have to choose your venues very, very wisely, right? So the number of people you're calling, your venue should be able to hold it. And now what happens is when you select a venue, say having a capacity, actual capacity, say 10,000 people, right? But then you cannot put 10,000 people there. To put people inside a venue is very simple, but to take them out is very difficult, right? So venue's capacity, if calculated capacity or means actual capacity is 10,000, probably your actual capacity, how many people you should be bringing in, is only about your emergency exit capacity. Say out of 10,000 people, your emergency exit capacity says that within 8 or 10 minutes, you can take out 8,000 people or 7,000 people. Only 7,000 or 8,000 people should be allowed. So first thing is the venue, whether it is suitable or not. Second, what are the vulnerability, hazards, risk assessment, etc., whatever. And what is its design? Whether the adequate exit, emergency exit, normal exit, entry points, at what time people will come, how many queues will be formed, how the queues will be managed, what are the vulnerabilities. So basically you start with the venue only, and you have to assess the venue, and you have to ensure that people when come in, they are safe. And then the crowd densities you have to manage. You have to specifically mention how many people will come and what will be the safe crowd density inside the venue. If they are standing, then there is a different measures. If they are sitting, then there is a different measure. And if they are, say, for enjoyment, like in rock concert, then your front of the stage barrier, that becomes very, very important, because all people try to converge around the front of the stage barrier, and there they get suffocated. So parties have to choose venues very wisely, and they have to means selected on the basis of what kind of capacity they require. Only that is the, I think, structural change is required. Otherwise, I think what I have written in this comprehensive guidelines about crowd management, what BPRND has published, it has given so many scenarios. It has given so many theoretical constructs, as well as how to conduct rapid risk assessment, how to conduct comprehensive risk assessment, what kind of crowd density should be for various type of crowds, and how these emergency measures should be planned, etc. Everything is given there. I think we need to refer to those principles there. So that will give a very fair.
Yes, sir. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry for
No,
asking
sure.
another question.
Yeah.
So, how
Yeah.
important is the nature of the crowd? For example, I'll tell you something that happened in the same spot. Just a day before, or 2 days ago, at the same location, AIADMK holds a rally with the same number of crowd, 25,000 people, 25,000 odd people. But the rally went off peacefully. Whereas TVK's rally, it was utter chaos. 25,000 people at the same venue. The police said that we had given 138 police personnel for bandobast for AIADMK's rally. Whereas for TVK's rally, we understood that there'll be more youngsters, there'll be people who want to see a cinema star who has turned as a politician. So there'll be more crowd. So we have given 500 police personnel. We had deployed 500 police personnel. So all these things should be taken into consideration. These things also matter?
Yes, they do matter, because in case of film star, they would like to touch him. Right? Probably they would like to touch him. They like to have autograph. They will like to speak to him. So in other rally,
Click selfies.
Selfies, they might have come to only listen, right? So two events are never similar. Even if these are political rallies at the same venue, the same number of people. Nature of crowd, nature of their activity, psychosocial factors, and the demography of crowd may vary. Okay? And all depends upon these factors. So that is the point. So crowds are not homogeneous. The biggest mistake we make is that crowds are homogeneous, and we plan our measures accordingly because they are homogeneous. They are heterogeneous. Every crowd is unique. And every time when there is a crowd event, you must read the crowd demography, must anticipate, must plan around this demography also, one of the parameters. And then the factors I told, like risk assessment, venue assessment, crowd density, what we require, what kind of activity crowd is going to do there. Now see a rock concert, what kind of activity people do there? And in a political rally where people are sitting, listening to a leader, what kind of activity is there? Right? Entirely two different things. If you means plan a rock concert like what you plan for, say, political rally, or say for a religious festival, you are bound to fail. So that is the problem.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for talking to us and giving us all your insights about the crowd management and assessing the situation, because putting things in perspective is very important, because, there's a lot of awareness that is needed in terms of what is crowd management and how it has to be done. So thank you so much for talking to us.
Okay, so it's a privilege to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Preventing stampedes requires more than just issuing guidelines. It demands strict enforcement and clear accountability. If you want to know more about how TVK Stampede unfolded and why such tragedies keep recurring, in our country, watch my colleague Pooja Prasanna's Let Me Explain and our coverage on the News Minute. And remember, our journalism is powered solely by your support. If you value this work, please scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the description below to support us.